Y legislature in Guam is back in session. Senator Esteves, you have the floor. On the main motion,
Just
Senator
a point of
Reagan?
information, Madam Speaker. Point of information, colleagues, Mr. Joe Roberto, who has been communicating very actively, excuse me, very actively with a number of us over the course of the last several weeks, is in the gallery. So if by any chance you would like to have it, inquire about any specifics as it applies to the use and the requirement for the property, he has volunteered to make himself available to be able to respond to any of your questions. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Sujus Masi, Senator Again. On Bill 364, any member wish to be heard? On the main motion, Acting Speaker, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise in support of the bill. I have some of the same concerns that the previous speaker had regarding when the first transaction that the legislature did for this property was to transfer it from the Department of Land Management's jurisdiction to the mayor of Talafofo. And when we did that, we authorized the mayor of Talafofo to use this for a multi-purpose facility, because at that time they were envisioning, doing other things on this 7 acres of property. So the change with this bill is now that it's authorizing a 30-year lease, because that prior bill had restricted the mayor from also leasing it for that long. So this would authorize a 30-year lease. It would authorize only for the one use, and that is for soccer fields, not for multi-purpose. And the mayor assured us with his testimony that he didn't need a multi-purpose anymore because he had an MOU with the Department of Youth Affairs to use the DYA property, which is the cottage homes, for the multi-purpose facility or the football field, the U.S. football field. There was that type of discussion that went on, but it's my understanding that the Attorney General's office did not sign off on that MOU with the DYA, and because DYA may need use of those for cottage homes or for other facilities for DYA. So I guess wanted to make sure that because it's 7 acres, and I understand the funding and that FIFA is generously going to fund this, and that what they want in exchange is 30 years, but they also during the hearing, their representatives, also GFA representatives, testified that they would allow use of this property for DOE schools, that they would enter into a separate MOU with DOE for use, and that they may charge. When I asked them what they charge, they said they may charge, but it's nominal, like $100 an event, something like that. But we did not have that MOU in front of us. In fact, we don't have the MOU between the mayor of Talafofo or the Municipal Planning Council and GFA or FIFA. So we're really just giving them a very general parameters, but it's very clear from the bill that this would pretty much lock up the property, and it would be subject to GFA's consent to use it for any other purpose after this for 30 years. Actually, the MOU, they says 30 plus 30 years. But they did not present to us a final MOU. And because of this type of thing, I guess I was just going to try to add in some language that says that, well, first of all, I was going to do what the prior speaker alluded to, and that is where on page 2 of the bill, on line 17, where they talk about the 7.7 acres, the whole entire lot, that we say, or a portion thereof. So that this bill is authorizing the Office of the Mayor and the Municipal Planning Council of Talafofo to enter into an MOU. And by adding the words, or a portion thereof, to the lot description, it would allow the mayor, if he decides after this change of events with the DYA property, that he needs a sliver of this property for that multi-purpose recreational activity, then you know, he could reserve that part of it. So that would be my amendment, is on page 2, line 17, to just add the words "or a portion thereof" after the lot description, which describes 7.7 acres as shown on DLM map number 069FY91, or a portion thereof. That would be my first amendment, Madam Speaker.
Situas Maasi, Acting Speaker. On the Terlahi amendment to page 2, line 17, to add the words
"or a portion thereof."
"or a portion thereof." Any member wish to be heard? Senator Uggan, you're recognized.
Thank you very, very much, Madam Speaker, and thank you very much for the good speaker on proffering that amendment. I just want to caution ourselves here in the hallway, if in fact the statement that was made, if the mayor would need additional property, then the mayor may be able to approach the Guam Football Association and see if he can use a sliver of the property. I want to just caution us here, because anytime that you're getting an organization such as the FIFA, a massive organization, committing to financial resources for property, we certainly need to provide that certainty that this is the parcel that is being provided. Now you can go ahead and invest your resources and develop it for the term of whatever is authorized by legislation. So I just want to caution us here. I guess the one question, if the sponsor of the amendment would yield, is if the mayor were to negotiate a memorandum of agreement to utilize the entire 7.7, and all of that is formalized through the Attorney General's office, through the Chief Executive's office signing off on that, then that would be a contractual commitment. So my question is, would the mayor, based on the proposed amendment, still have that option to approach the Guam Football Association to see if they can access some of the parcels of property? Because that would be a concern that I'm sure the sponsors may have.
Thank you, Senator Uggan. Acting Speaker, do you yield?
Yes, thank you for the question. No, absolutely, you're right. Our bill is really only going to authorize the mayor to enter into an MOU. So when we say for this lot or a portion thereof, he's authorized to enter into that MOU for a portion of this lot or the entire lot. And of course, once he enters into that, then we have no say in that. For sure, the legislature has no say, and the mayor, he would be done with his deal also. So he'd have to negotiate that as part of that initial MOU, if necessary.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and thank you, Madam Speaker Talai, for that clarification, because certainly we want to ensure that any organization, regardless as to whether they're situated on island or off island, if they're going to invest some resources, that when this government provides a direct commitment, that's certainly that commitment is going to be lived up to. So thank you very much for that clarification.
Thank you, Senator Uggan. So was that an objection to the amendment? Any member wish to be heard on the Terlahi amendment? To add the words "a portion thereof"? Any objection? Any objection? Hearing none, motion carries. Acting Speaker, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And I want to commend the mayor and the members of the Wolverine Soccer Club and others that use the field, the adjacent baseball field, the Cowboys, and they've all been really cooperating with each other to use these fields and to really have a very good sports programs in place for not just Talafofo, but for the surrounding villages, including Jotnya. I know this, yeah. And so I commend them for that. And so I do agree that FIFA's investment in this, or GFA's investment in this property, is going to benefit the soccer program for sure. It's going to benefit the baseball program by taking the soccer activities off of the baseball field. And hopefully, you know, that the mayor is going to be able to negotiate a place for the multi-purpose and for the other football field also. I was going to add another amendment, if I may make this motion, and this is from our original bill where we gave this property to the mayor. I would just like to repeat this language in this bill again. So I haven't made copies. If I could just read it to you. It's language that was adopted when we first transferred the property to the mayor, and I'd like it to just be put in this bill so that the mayor remembers this when he's negotiating the MOU. So this would be a new section that says storm management. The office of the mayor of Talafofo, the Talafofo Municipal Planning Council, and all relevant agencies shall ensure that proper storm management is designed into the sports facility for water quality, recharge, and storage requirements, and to prevent runoff from affecting the street on the east boundary, which is the lowest point on Lot 1, Block 14, Tract 2831, Municipality of Talafofo, consisting of 31,026 square meters, 7.7 acres, as shown on DLM map number 069 FY91.
Thank you, Acting Speaker. If we could just get the language and have it circulated among the body, we'll take a brief recess.
Madam, if
you
I
wanna
could
speak on
ask,
it?
notwithstanding the rules to not circulate it, it's language that we had approved in the prior bill, and this is because there was testimony by DLM and some others about this property, you know, was serving the purpose of some storm drainage, and we, you know, there was some dispute, but just to ensure, if it's necessary.
We'll take a brief 1-minute recess.
Thank you.
The legislature is back in session. Acting Speaker, you're recognized.
Thank you. If I may withdraw my prior amendment and use this revised language. The office of the Mayor of Talafofo and the Talafofo Municipal Planning Council shall ensure that the memorandum of agreement authorized in this act provides that proper storm management is designed into the sports facility for water quality, recharge, and storage requirements, and to prevent runoff from affecting the street on the east boundary, which is the lowest point on Lot 1, Block 14, Tract 2831, municipality. And then it goes on with a description of the property. That would be my
Thank you,
motion.
Acting Speaker. On the motion to withdraw the initial amendment, any objection? Hearing none, motion carries. On the Terlahi amendment, to add a new section regarding storm management, Senator Uggan, you are recognized.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. And I want to thank Speaker Talai for proffering that amendment. And it's an extraction of, or a duplication, almost a duplication of Section 7 in Public Law 34-60. But she provides even more clarity and also the extension of responsibility by virtue of her new amendment. So, Madam Speaker, I'd like to ask the sponsor of the amendment if she would consider, notwithstanding Public Law Section 7 of Public Law 34-60, because that provision reverts back to all relevant government of Guam agencies shall ensure, and the amendment that she's providing here would provide more clarity and consistency. So I want to ensure that that's more current, and that applies to any amendments that's going to be incorporated into the MOA. So, Madam Speaker, if I can ask the sponsor to accept that amendment.
Acting Speaker, do you yield?
Yes, I do, and I have no objection to that amendment to this amendment. Thank you.
Thank you. On the Uggan amendment to the Terlahi amendment, any member wish to be heard? Any objection to the Uggan amendment? Hearing none, motion carries. On the Terlahi amendment, any other member wish to be heard? Any objection to the Terlahi amendment? To add a new section entitled Storm Management. Any objection? Hearing none, motion carries. Acting Speaker, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Again, I rise in support of this bill. I thank all the parties involved for not just working on the planning of this field and working with the mayor and the people of Talafofo and the surrounding villages, but also coming down here and really being very active in its passage and testifying and following up and all the work that they did. Sijus Masi.
Sijus Masi, Acting Speaker. We'll take a brief 1-minute recess.
We're back in session on Bill 364. Is there any other member who'd like to be recognized? If not, then Senator Uggan, you may close on the bill.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and thank you very much, colleagues, for not only placing this legislation on the agenda, but most importantly, allowing us to be able to discuss it and enhance it by virtue of some of the amendments that have been proffered. I also want to, Madam Speaker, recognize that Mr. Roberto has made himself available, and he's been able to respond to a few inquiries by members of this body, so I want to thank him and recognize him. He's in the gallery area. In addition to that, the president of the Guam Football Association, Mr. Tino Sangil, had made a presentation, and I want to ensure that at least the people of Guam, to some extent, understand the contribution of the Guam Football Association. And this is not only within this past year, but also since 2005 when they acquired the football field in Harmon. One of the things that Mr. Sangil mentioned during the course of the public hearing was that after the construction of the multi-purpose field in Harmon, that they recognized that there was a need for additional soccer fields. They created a master plan and had it presented to FIFA, which was eventually approved. And just based on that master plan, that they are looking at constructing approximately 7 facilities island-wide. And because the master plan was approved, the funding would subsequently follow suit. So we're talking about not only the Harmon sports complex, but also we're talking about possibly, should this legislation pass, the Talafofu area. They were also, the Guam Football Association was also able to acquire property through a private purchase in Chalampagu, right by the Ordered Mayor's Community Center. And they are looking at constructing a similar facility, probably a little smaller scale, but a similar facility to accommodate the growth and expansion and development of soccer here on island. Also, there's property that was given also by the government of Guam, and they have acquired the funding and in Agate, and they are building it next year based on testimony provided in November at the hearing. Building next year in the first quarter, they're going to commence the construction of that particular facility and then transition over to Order Chalampagu. The other areas that they are looking at is Jigu, NCS, and Dededu, if they're able to identify property, not necessarily public lands, but property that they can be able to acquire and look at developing similar facilities. One of the things that the president also highlighted was that the national teams also are traveling for free now because it's being sponsored by the FIFA program. Also, there's an academy that traditionally has been sponsored by the Guam Football Association, which used to charge $50 per participant, and now that is being provided for free just so that they can continue to focus on the development of the sport on island. And I think that there's one thing that also stood out in the presentation was that Mr. Sangil and representatives of the Guam Football Association had met with the Deputy Director of the Department of Education and in the latter part of October, and they will be implementing, based on their discussion and the subsequent concurrence of the superintendent, implementing an elementary school program of which funding had already been secured, approximately $40,000 a year, to be able to ensure that they can get this program started in our elementary schools. So there's and then he finally concluded by stating that in the next few years that they will be receiving $5 million for the construction of these facilities and also their proper maintenance and operation. So it shows you that this organization has been very active for a number of years since the construction of the Harmon soccer field back in 2005. And certainly all the leadership over the years should be appropriately recognized in addition to the current leadership. But it's an organization that's very active. They have committed to ensuring that should this legislation pass and be signed into law, that they will proceed immediately with the designs and that the mayor's office and the public will be kept current in terms of being able to see exactly what the designs are composed of and what the multi-purpose field would reflect in terms of meeting the needs of the soccer enthusiasts in the South. So, Madam Speaker, just with that, I want to thank our colleagues again for allowing this legislation to be entertained, and I certainly encourage you to support it because ultimately it's getting our youth to get actively involved in sports, in this case the sport of soccer, and to get them off the streets and to get them really busy, so that in fact hopefully someday we will see Guam as either an international champion, have an international champion team in soccer, or if not, a world championship team. So we certainly look forward to the development of and the continual contribution of Guam Football Association. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. On the motion to place bill number 364-34 on the third reading file, is there any objection? Hearing no objection, motion carries. Senator Muña, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I believe we've exhausted the priority items on the second reading file. And notwithstanding the House rules, I move that we go into the third reading and voting file and act on the priority items tomorrow, Friday at 4 p.m., and then we can return back to the second reading right after.
Objection.
I object.
All right, on the motion to move to the third reading file and then resume with the bills after the third reading file, and to vote on that third reading file tomorrow. Is there any, there's been an objection. So all in favor, please raise your hand. Motion passes. All right, we're in recess then till 4 p.m. tomorrow. Thank you. Recess, yes.
Just for clarity, okay, so we're going to recess, come in at 4 p.m. tomorrow, vote on everything that has been considered that's the third reading file, and then revert back to second reading for the balance of the agenda.
Correct.
After tomorrow, or can we anticipate next week, Monday? Okay. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Depending how long that takes,
you know,
yes.
and Madam Speaker, I want to make a motion to reconsider the actions of the body. The motion was that we have exhausted our priority items. The other bills that are listed on the agenda are priority as well. It might not be a priority to one senator, but it's priority to me. And so, you know, the whole understanding was that we were going to place these items on the agenda when these items were ready to be uploaded to our website, and these items have been updated, have had public hearings, and so why can't we just move on and continue working? There's I believe three or four more bills that are left on this agenda, and so we should just move on and do our work. So I move to reconsider the actions of the body so that we can continue working on the bills that we have before us.
On the motion to reconsider, is there any objection to considering this motion to reconsider? There's no objection, so all in favor of reconsider, okay, so, yes, so there's been an objection. So, Senator Atta.
Just a point of inquiry, Madam Speaker. If we've gone through a number of bills already, I believe about 19 of them, and we're presuming that they will be engrossed and ready for voting tomorrow at 4. And maybe we should ask legal, are they going to be finished engrossing? Or are we going to need to come back Saturday? As I understand it, I know that there are some people who have some travel plans. I may not be here next week. Are we even going to have quorum next week? We know we have quorum right now. And if anybody's going to leave, let them go, because as long as we are able to get 8, we can pass a bill. We don't need pass a bill with members that are present, the majority of members present. So I implore the body to reconsider, and let's finish the work that we have started. We're almost to the finish line.
Just for the members' information, to allow for the governor to act on the bills and give him 10 days would it would be 10 working days. It would bring us, I think, the 26th if we voted tomorrow. I would have to recalculate for beyond that.
And Madam Speaker, this body remains as the 34th legislature until January 3rd.
January 6th. Yes.
Excuse me, January 6th.
That's correct. All right. So on the motion to reconsider, all in favor?
If I may close on that motion, I just want to, again, ask my colleagues. We have 3 more. I said 4 earlier. There's 3 more bills on the agenda. I'm asking my colleagues to please, give us that opportunity to go through these last 3 bills and do our work, and then come back and vote Friday, Saturday, next week. I mean, we are still in session until January 6th. And so let's not have anything else stop us. Let's continue the work.
I'm informed by the clerks and legal, if we continue, we will absolutely be not able to vote tomorrow. So we are looking at next week, just so you know. Okay, so on the motion to reconsider, this is just on whether to reconsider or not. Please raise your hand if you're in favor of reconsideration. 2, 3, 4. Motion fails. So, yes, point of information. Senator Stevis, state your point of information.
Madam Speaker, if the motion right now, or that motion that passed, was to go into voting, recess and go into voting tomorrow, but legal and clerks have said that they're not going to be ready for voting tomorrow, what are we going to do now? I really don't believe that we should recess through the weekend and wait till Monday when there is work to be done. And now that the motion to reconsider has failed, so it's kind of like, I really don't think we should be giving ourselves a 3-day weekend.
Senator Muña.
Madam Speaker, I just wanted to clarify and see if maybe if legal, can legal engross all the bills before for tomorrow, I guess.
They said they are not able to engross all the bills before 4 tomorrow.
They're not.
We would vote on some without engrossment or other options.
Can we just take a short recess?
Sure, 1 minute recess. All right. We're back in session. From Senator Munoz, motion to recess we approved a motion to recess until tomorrow at 4 p.m. and to go to third reading and vote. So we are recessed until tomorrow at 4 p.m.